Hi, Mike. Jen, thanks for joining me. Tammy, nice to see you too. Oh, a bunch of people are signing on. Okay, so as I said, this is my live stream. I just want to say thank you for joining me. This is the first time I'm doing this. Hopefully, everything goes well and you can hear me properly because I can't tell. So, can you hear me well enough? Yep. Okay. So before we get started, yes, I just decided to pop into somebody else's pantry to make a couple recommendations as to what they can make, and we'll go from there. Hopefully, you have the same stuff, or maybe get some ideas on how I actually work in the kitchen, usually at home. Um, Not necessarily what I do for my classes or courses, not even what I do for my videos because I'm usually at home and I just you know have a recipe in mind that I work with. In this case, I have no recipes. I'm just going to give you some basic ideas of the ingredients that are behind me. And yes, they're just ingredients. There's like nothing to eat. Those days after work, you're like, oh, I don't really want to make anything, but sometimes you kind of have to. So, all right. Yep. All right, let's just get started. People can join us as we go, and I'm also monitoring the chat, so I'll do my best to get to your questions. I also have a list of questions from the emails that I thought were great questions, and I will answer them as I go. Okay, so what do I have behind me? I have a bunch of canned food. You know my hatred for canned food, or not really hatred, but I'm not a big fan of canned items. I'm also not a fan of stocking up. I do like to eat fresh, and I also like to minimize my budget by not having a lot of money invested in food that I may or may not eat within the next couple years, because canned items usually take a couple years to go through. Okay, so I'm just gonna pop over here and I will see what we've got. But first, I'm gonna show you my mug like I always do in my videos, and have a sip of coffee. Here we go. Okay. Let me just get my thoughts together because I'm gonna record this as well and then post it for viewing later. So if you miss out on the live event, you are going to be able to see this. Okay. Have you ever come home from work or even after school and said, I have nothing to eat in this house? Well, a lot of times you do. You just have ingredients and you have to cook something. Well, there are a couple quick items that I'm going to go through today to maybe give you some ideas of what you can make with the food that you have in your pantry, and also stuff that might be in your fridge or freezer. And while I'm doing this video, I do want to let you know that there's a freezer, like a chest freezer over here, and another cooler over here that makes a lot of noise. So if those fans start to run while I'm talking, I'm probably going to take a quick break and edit that out of the video. Perfect. All right. So first couple things I have that I see right here, is like some like pre-workout and let's see, some powdered protein. I don't really like this stuff. Tastes bad. I do see a pancake mix from P28. It's pretty decent. I don't like it straight up. I can say that it's better if you mix it with another pancake mix or more flour, baking soda, that you should also have in your pantry if you can get access to that right now. This straight up kind of reminds me of a taste of vomit in a way. Sorry, P28, I'm not in love with your pancake powder, but you can use it in lieu of your Bisquick. Don't use it in biscuits, of course, but like pie crust and stuff, you can add a little bit of this to stretch out whatever other baking powders you may have. And there's that pan. Okay, next I can see that my influence kind of made it over to the pantry because there are these matzo crackers, as well as even matzo ball mix. Um, you know my love for this, just because it's great with peanut butter, great with for avocado toast. You can have it with like cheese and crackers and some wine. I do love these, and they are cheap. This doesn't look like the same one that comes out of the bulk package, but it's also a great cheap cracker substitute if you're even not making your own crackers. Canned tomatoes. Let's move that. That was tomato paste. Okay. So, canned tomatoes. This is crushed tomatoes. Very good brand. I'm going to pause here so that these compressors can run because they're very loud. Telling me that, guys. That way I can help you out and see what's going on here. So where was it? I was talking about canned tomatoes. Now I love canned tomatoes because they make a great sauce. Great for like meat sauces for lasagnas or even just over top of pasta, which I do see some here. I know not everybody wants like a pasta meal because it's tiring and whatnot, but again, if you're on a budget and this is what you have on hand, this is what you should be doing. Just something that's filling and nourishing. There's also quite a bit of tomato sauce here. Now, this pantry is a pantry of someone who's Italian, so I'm assuming that's why there's sauce and pasta just for quick get-togethers. Now, why is that flickering there? This live event is not going as well as I wanted to, but this is working out for the most part. Okay, so yes, you have some pasta. I see some tuna. You can make a tuna casserole real quick. There's no cream of mushroom soup, which again, I prefer making my own, but if you don't have it, you can always use something like this cream of chicken soup. The tuna and the chicken kind of have the same texture, so it won't be off-putting. And then you can add, your carrots or celery or any other vegetable, peas. Some people put corn in theirs. Whatever you'd like to have in that as well. Also, there's also mayonnaise. So you have the tuna, the mayonnaise, you make a sandwich. Pretty simple. And you can add some onion and celery to give it some heft. I also know that some people put hard-boiled eggs in their tuna salad to give it a little bit more volume. Stretches one can a little bit further for cheaper. Eggs right now are not the cheapest option, like filling option, but they are just as delicious in the tuna. They don't take away from the tuna flavor. Let's see here. Cream of tomato soup. Oh, I was wrong. I do see a can of cream of mushroom soup. So again, this would make that great casserole. You can have it on its own. Again, I don't necessarily like cream of mushroom soup. I find it very salty, very metallic tasting, but you might enjoy it. There are pie filling, which I'm going to be using in another video after this, and I'll record it. That way you have it. Again, this is just like blueberry pie filling. There's apple or cherry pie filling back here. If you have like oatmeal, even just like some flour and butter, sugar, you can make like a crumb on top of it, so it's more like a cobbler. You put everything down on the base of a pan and then just build it on top, and that's what I'm going to be doing in my video. I have jarred beets, which they look like they have kind of like a gooey covering to them. Fresh beets are better in my opinion, but if this is what you have, this is what you use. They would probably make really great like pickled eggs with the beets in it, so they're kind of like pink. They're kind of cool. All the time with this. Okay, so I'm not waiting for that fan. I actually just unplugged the unit, and remind me at the end of the video to plug that refrigerator back in. It doesn't really have anything that's going to spoil. It's just a lot of drinks, like sodas and bottled water, so it's not going to go bad if it cools down, and I don't think it's going to cool down that quickly. Okay, so I started with the pie filling. We're moving on to beans. There's some baked beans, prepared baked beans. They're good with any protein, any side dish, like if you have a pasta salad and beans and hot dogs, hamburgers, or if you're doing a grill out, you can even just put the hot dogs in the beans and kind of like hook them all together. And there you have a substantial meal, as well as your kidney beans and your pinto beans. There's also black beans with a little cumin. You can kind of have like rice and beans. Everybody loves rice and beans around the world, and that is then available. Garbanzo beans in the can make great hummus. All you need is just a scoop of peanut butter in the mix, instead of tahini, because who has tahini on hand? Unless you made that one recipe that calls for tahini, you can just use peanut butter in the mix and get that nice nutty flavor in your hummus as well. Little cayenne pepper, give it that kick. I think a little honey also adds a little sweetness, so you'll be able to balance it. And then you can just dip vegetables in it, chips in it, pita bread, whatever you want to use the hummus for. That's great. This one here, this jarred sauce, which again, if you're Italian, why are you buying jarred sauce? Not gonna judge. Not gonna judge. But this Botticelli, let's see if you can see it. I want to get label real close to that. The Botticelli tomato porcini mushroom and truffle sauce is my favorite jarred sauce. You don't have to do anything to it. Just dump it on whatever you're going to be putting it on. I shouldn't say dump, but just ladle it on or spoon it on to any of your recipes that call for sauce. Tastes so good. So good. I do see a little dressing back here. There's some Italian dressing and some marinades, which are great for a pasta salad, or even marinating your proteins, like chicken's really good in a marinade. You can just put a little bit on your chicken, let it set right before you go to work, or again off to school, and then when you come back you can quickly just make some, like grill up the chicken breast or even fry it up. It tastes delicious. Okay, so this bag here is a bag of lentils, and then there's 3 full bags of chickpeas, and they're garbanzo beans, whatever you want to call them. That is a lot. Instead, if why do you have so many if you have canned beans? I prefer dried anyway. Another recipe to make with the chickpeas is to soak the beans overnight, let them swell, then cook them just a touch till they're al dente, and then lay them out on a sheet pan, dry them off really well, and then put them in the season them with some, like, I don't know, maple syrup or honey, and some maybe cayenne pepper, salt and pepper, whatever you want, maybe even some cinnamon, and put them in the oven and let them toast up and crisp, and then you have like a chickpea snack. So it's a nice crunch. It's not quite, like, it's sort of nutty, has that crispy texture to it. As long as you soak it properly and cook it properly, you'll get that. You can do the same with canned beans. However, your beans are going to be kind of rubbery if you don't dry them out properly. Also, in order to bake them properly, you do want to remove the shells to them, and the dried beans are going to be a better bean for removing the shell. It's going to be a lot easier for that process. Down below, which there's not much of anything, but there's some arborio rice, so some risotto. You can make any of this for a topping of risotto, and it's really good with if you have like a chicken stock, which in my course I teach you how to make a really good chicken stock, so sign up for that. Shameless plug. And that is, and then maybe some onion, again salt and pepper. You're good to go with the risotto. Then here's the peanut butter that I was mentioning. Are you a Jif person, Skippy person, what Peter Pan person? What do you prefer? That's what I want to know. Yeah, you tell me. So Jif Mom, Jif, Skippy, Peter Pan. Oh, almond butter. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, there's like other nut butter. So if you don't have peanut butter or don't eat peanut butter, you can use other nut butters in your tahini recipe. In fact, it's already got that like consistency already in the jar if you stir it up well enough. Yep, natural peanut butters. Oh, full circle and every day. Okay. yeah, so there's a lot of different varieties out there that you can enjoy. There's Jello. I do see a couple boxes of Jello. That's more of a snack. I can't tell you to make a meal out of it unless you're gonna make like peaches suspended in Jello, or yeah, that's really it. I mean, it's not really like a fulfilling thing. It's more of like a dessert. Again, like even with the canned pie filling, that's more of a dessert. You're not going to be. You could maybe use the cherries as a cherry glaze on a ham. Oh, I never really thought of that when I was going over that. But yeah, if you have like a ham roast and you put like the cherry glaze over it, that'd be perfect. Oh, some oatmeal. Yeah, some oatmeal crumble topping for the pie filling, which is, yeah, now this is instant. The one that I'm going to be making is just using other quick rolled oats. They are not steel cut, and they're not, but they're not the instant, the kind of like real thin, chopped up mush. And then coffee. I see some vinegars here. A huge tub of Crisco. Who cooks with Crisco? I do. Okay, so I don't necessarily cook with the Crisco. I like to bake with it. So it often goes into, if I'm making like a bread, like a white bread, I add a little Crisco to it. It gives it a nice, soft, fluffy, almost like, I don't know, that ooey gooey, delicious bread texture. If you use it properly. If you go to like too extreme, then it doesn't rise. So that's important. Okay, so that is this pantry. There are tons of proteins, like chicken and sausage and steaks and roasts and everything in the freezer. I'm not going to go over that today. This was just the pantry section that I wanted to talk about. Let's see what else. I will do some of the questions that I got either in email, or my DM inbox. And so the first one is, if I were on a really tight budget, what 2 fresh herbs should I have and will get the most use of? That's a very good question. So the first thing I'm going to suggest is basil. Okay, now basil's very versatile. You can use it in your like tomato sauces on pizzas, in a caprese salad if you get like fresh tomatoes and mozzarella. That's very tasty. There's another basil that I really enjoy, and that's Thai basil. Now Thai basil has a little bit of a different flavor, and it goes really well if you saute it with like garlic butter and shrimp with the Thai basil. That adds just a great flavor. Also, if you're going to do some, like the risotto here, you can use that like with some coconut milk and then the Thai basil, and then still get a really great flavor from that. And so basil, no matter what type, is very versatile. Also, if it gets a little too I'm assuming you're going to be growing this like on a windowsill garden or even in your like herb garden. So it just grows and grows and grows. It's pretty much a weed. Most herbs are. And so any basil. Lemon basil might be a little interesting in a couple of things, but just your standard sweet basil, Genovese basil, and Thai basil are going to be my recommendations, even though that's like 4 different types of basil that you can use. The second one is going to be rosemary. I think it's going to be another universal seasoning if you're going to have like a fresh herb. It's also really great in like here in New York. I have a plant and I bring it in and out outside. So like in the winter it's inside. It gets kind of dry, but dried herbs are fine. And then I take it back outside and it grows again outside. And then I have more fresh rosemary. So it's almost evergreen if you take care of it. I do know that in places like I've been to Las Vegas and I've seen just like bushes of rosemary. So I know that they're also evergreen in certain parts of the country, and they don't need to be taken in and out anywhere. They can just be pruned and snipped, and you can bring in your rosemary into the kitchen. It has a great flavor, great for lamb, beef, steaks. Well, I said beef already. Pork chops is really good on pork chops, and obviously on chicken. I mean, what doesn't go good with chicken? So, all right. Jen says, I'm out of flour. What can I use instead? That's an all-encompassing question. Okay, so if I'm assuming you are out of wheat flour, as many even stores are out of wheat flour. So there's a couple different options if you can find, and everybody's kind of found the other options. You know, almond flour you can work with. It's going to give it a heavier, denser feel to it, but you can use cassava flour. You can use coconut flour, even I guess those two are lighter, so you can kind of mix it together. Also, ground flaxseed. If you have flaxseed, just process it in the blender or in the food processor, and you'll be able to get ground flaxseed. Just pulverize it until it's pretty much a flour consistency. Again, it's going to be kind of dense, but with enough leavening agents such as baking soda or baking powder, or the combination of the two, you just go ahead and set it off to the side, and it'll rise before you form your loaf of bread, because you want to make bread. So flaxseed is a great bread flour option. A great recipe is available at from like the 131 Method book, and if it's not the book, it's the online program. Just go to probably 131method.com and you'll be able to find it. Just search it. It's a wonderful program, but it has some pretty much gluten alternatives, so like wheat product alternatives in their recipes, so you can give that a try. Also, did you ever find a use for those can of green beans? You obviously been following me from the beginning, and you know that I hate canned green beans. The answer is no, but David asked it, so David, I don't know you, but this is the first time and probably the last time I'm ever going to be able to say this where it's relevant, but ew, David, and go from there. All right, thank you, Schitt's Creek, for that little blurb. If I'm not mistaken, they only used that once, but it managed to become a viral sensation. So thanks for that, asking that question. I will try and come up with something, maybe a recipe that I enjoy from the canned green beans, but give me time. Might be a year from now, seriously, might be a year from now till I can get any of that going. Let's see, what else is in this pantry? So there's a lot of booze. Yeah, a lot of booze. You can always cook with it. You can put in everything, port, sherry, great with mushrooms. I love mushrooms. And then, unless I pop my head into the freezer, but again, if it's full of hams and pork chops, then obviously you make them. And they don't take too long to thaw, so they're a great weeknight meal. Are there any other questions from the people watching? Let me scroll back through the comments. Oh, will I make another naked video? You guys are perverts. Yes, I will make another naked video. In fact, that particular video where I make bacon naked, that one's got the most views so far, so check that one out in its entirety. I tell you, you'll be able to see how I cook bacon while naked. Okay, so tell me, guys, what do you want to see me cook next on my YouTube channel? Okay, you liked my rice video, now you want more like how to cook pasta properly. Really, follow the directions. I'm not going to do that one. Maybe I will. We'll see. How to make steak. Okay, yeah, steak is always a tough one, especially it depends on the heat that you use. My method for making steaks and making them look good, I'll tell you right now, but I won't do this in the video. Is I grill like the one side and get that beautiful diamond color on the grill, and then I finish them in the oven. Yeah, with the grilled side up, and then they cook the temperature, like a medium temperature in the oven before serving. Yeah. Ew, pea soup. No, thank you. Oh, lentil soup. There's an idea. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of decided my recipe was going to be the dessert. I don't often do desserts because I'm not like the pastry chef, but I figured it's a real cheap option and quick option too for a potluck. Okay, so nobody's got really anything else. Oh, why don't I make my own mayonnaise? Well, again, this is not my pantry, so I don't, I have made mayonnaise, but the time it takes to make mayonnaise, I'd rather just buy my favorite brand. Everybody kind of has their favorite brand of mayonnaise. Mine's personally like Hellman's, but there's Heinz, there's Duke's, there's something called Blue Label? Is that what it's called? I don't know where that's from. Yeah. Oh, you liked my Instagram post of the chickpeas on the pizza. Yeah, that was a really fun thing. I had made my traditional pizza dough, which I'm going to be doing a course on pizzas. Yeah, that's hands down like I have the best recipe on how to make different pizzas, whether it's deep dish or thin crust or like a Greek style pizza, the Neapolitan. So those are that's gonna be fun. That's coming up. I imagine it'd be like a 6-week course, and you can make pizzas with me because I make them every Sunday. Yeah, the chickpea pizza, can of chickpeas, or I think it was a half a can of chickpeas because I had already had some for like a dinner prior, and then I put the rest in a leftover bit of vindaloo sauce and just kind of mixed it up with some onions and sauteed it, and then just put it on my thin crust pizza recipe and baked in the oven, and it came out delicious. It was nice and spicy. Oh, I topped it with some fresh cilantro too. Yeah, that really came out great. And I'm not. I do like a lot of ethnic foods from around the world. I really do enjoy the flavors. Okay, so that seems to be everything. I'm going to say thank you for joining me on this live event. I hope to do this again, where maybe I can kind of schedule someone else's pantry. Yes, I'm standing in a closet doing a video. At least this one has better lighting. Yeah, and and if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out to me. I'll be able to get back to you. I know on Instagram not too long ago I had kind of offered to put together a recipe for you if you gave me a couple 5 ingredients, including a protein and a side. I could try and come up with something for you. So I'm more than happy to do that. Yeah, because I came up with just a couple of options just here off the top of my head. So I kind of like doing it. Yeah. All right. Well, catch me again. Again, you can find me at Instagram. I'm there, Cooking with John Grouber, and then also my website, cookingwithjohngruber.com. If you want more videos like this, let me know. I'll do more live events. And then there's also Facebook. I don't hang out on Facebook, but you can always message me there. I do get back to the messages on Facebook, and then let's see, YouTube, of course. Check out my other videos, and I can always do live videos of different pantries. I really like this. This was a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you for joining me. Oh, Terry, thanks. Fruit pie filling, and this is both cherry and blueberry, and then make a crumb topping on top of it. Now this has butter, let's see, some flour, then also vanilla and oats, the oatmeal that I had talked about. Let's see, what else was in it? Butter, some brown sugar. That's the other thing, some brown sugar, because I found that in a different cabinet. So now I'm just going to, and I just kind of mixed it all up with my hands, and the butter was cold, but as I was working it, it softened up to make some great crumb topping, and just put it right on top of the canned fruit filling. And I didn't do a super spectacular job at like mixing it all together to get that crumb, but it is going to be delicious. I just know it is, and this is again a thank you before I leave for the day. And just quick, just cover it all up. I preheated the oven for 375. It's a great temperature just to bake things on. And I just empty this all out here. Okay, looks good. I'm just going to quickly wash that bowl and then throw this in the oven till it's about golden brown, maybe like 15-20 minutes. I press it down a little bit. It should be like a pie topping, like sort of like a cobbler. There's no crust underneath. And I will see you next time.